So while the country is currently captivated by James Comey's testimony and what will potentially be the outcome of it, well, Senate Republicans are trying to push through their insidious agenda while we're all distracted, and they are now trying to ram the American Healthcare Act, which is their horrible so-called healthcare bill that would repeal the Affordable Care Act and replace it with a plan that would throw 24 million people off of their health insurance through the Senate, and they're trying to do that with little to no scrutiny. So Think Progress explains, Senate Speaker Mitch McConnell said he is striving to get a vote on the Republican healthcare bill by July 4th before Congress leaves for August recess. As ludicrous as this deadline seems, the Senate could pull it off, but it will be done without much public scrutiny. Senator Mitch McConnell implemented Senate Rule 14 Wednesday to fast-track the GOP House Health Bill. This rule allows the Senate to skip the committee process, goodbye full Senate committee debate, and instead fast-tracks the bill, moving it on the Senate calendar so it can be brought to a vote. Republicans need to pass a healthcare bill immediately, and they need to pass a bill that reconciles the needs of both the House and Senate by September 30th in order to use reconciliation. Reconciliation is a 1974 act that expedites the Senate's consideration of bills that pertain to the budget. While Washington watches James Comey testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senate Republican leaders and the Healthcare Working Group will still be meeting for a working luncheon to continue negotiations. The Senate's job is harder because, unlike the House, the Senate cannot vote on a bill until the Congressional Budget Office scores it. CBO needs to score the bill to see if it meets budgetary standards of reconciliation. The Senate Health Bill needs to save $2 billion, which the House bill successfully did, but the Senate bill is also bound by the Byrd Rule, which has its own cost of additional surgical rules, like that the bill cannot change Social Security spending or dedicated revenue. The CBO will need time to score the bill, so fast-tracking this Senate health bill makes the most sense for Senate Republicans. So the media and most of the country, we're all distracted right now by James Comey's testimony, and on Wednesday, Mitch McConnell moved to implement Rule 14. So he's going to shove this horrible excuse for a healthcare bill down our throats while nobody's looking. And that's not right, because this bill has a 17% approval rating. So they know damn well they're not going to get this codified into law unless they do something really shady, unless they're able to pass it using reconciliation. And, if anything, this is a strategy that is bereft of common sense, if you ask me, because by pushing forward a bill with a 17% approval rating, aren't you thinking about how that's going to impact your electoral chances come 2018, come 2020? I mean, if you honestly think that you can foist this bill upon us and there won't be any consequences, then you're just horribly mistaken. And make no mistake about it, the Democrats are awful, they are corrupt, but there's going to be a sweep if Republicans do something this shady and this shitty. Because, again, 24 million more people will be thrown off their health insurance, and discrimination against people with pre-existing conditions will be a thing again. So go ahead and try it, but not only will there be repercussions electorally, but this is going to move the needle much more closer to single payer. I mean, because we already saw a huge swing in public opinion polling just between March 2016 and January of 2017 when it comes to support for Medicare for all. So if you do this, if millions of more people get thrown off of their health insurance, then I think we're going to reach a point where even a majority of Republicans support Medicare for all, because we already know a plurality of Republicans support it. So more Republicans support Medicare for all than not. A plurality do. So if they do this, they're only making single payer inevitable. And this is why some Republicans are already saying single payer will be law of the land because of the Republican Party and because of the failures of the Democratic Party. So, if this does pass, I'm starting to think that the light at the end of the tunnel will be that there's going to have to be a response if this passes. And that response will ultimately be single payer. But meanwhile, while we're waiting for them to propose an alternative to the AHCA, people who are left out, people who lose their insurance, will die. So, again, ultimately the response is not to repeal the Affordable Care Act and go forward with Paul Ryan and Donald Trump's horrible excuse for a healthcare bill. What you do is you build upon the Affordable Care Act and expand Medicare to everyone. That's what you do. That's the only solution. So, Yeah, try it. Try it, Republicans. Please try it, because there will be hell to pay. And what you can do now is make a difference by calling your senator and letting him or her know that this cannot stand. If they vote for this bill, you will vote against them, because that is something. I mean, throwing people off of their health insurance, we shouldn't have to be fighting for things like this. I mean, we already have to deal with complacency when it comes to the Democratic Party, but Republicans actually trying to harm the American people, we shouldn't have to be dealing with it. So let your voice be heard. Call them and let them know this cannot stand.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.